Welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today we got a real treat for you. Her name is Erinn DeJonge, and she is the Fleet Business Operations Manager at Sarasota County Government in Sarasota, Florida. Erinn, say what's up to everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right, Erinn. So Erinn with two N's, Erinn.
It's decided to be different.
All right. You're the Fleet Business Operations Manager. I mean, Fleet Business Operations Manager. I feel like people know what fleet is. People know what operations manager is, but of what operations? But business operations, like what does fleet have to do with businesses? Anyways, give us a rundown of what your job title means, and then give us a rundown of what you actually do.
Yeah, of course.
It's different, probably.
So I kind of feel like it's a catch-all, right? But reality is I manage the fuel sites, I manage our contracts, our budget, as well as our acquisition side of the department. What that looks like into a day-to-day, we replace roughly about 200 assets a year. Our fleet consists of around 1,700 plus, and that goes from mowers to pickup trucks to dump trucks, all the way up to the yellow fleet, which we have some Menzies, that's crawling excavators and dozers and such. So it's a very vast and variety of fleet equipment and things. Our acquisitions budget is roughly around $12 million a year. Our fuel is around 3 to 5, really depending on what the year brings us. And then our maintenance is around $3 million a year.
Wow.
Our contracts, we try to do cooperative contracts, Sourcewell, the Sheriff's Association contracts, such like that. And then our fuel sites, we have 4 currently running fuel sites. We have 1 fuel technician, and he is amazing at what he does. Thank goodness. He saves us a ton of money.
What's a fuel technician?
So he goes around and checks out all our fuel sites, makes sure they're running and operating. There's these little program or computers that are set up to our sites that are called Vita routes, and basically he runs the tapes on that, making sure that there's no alarms going off, any leaks detecting, making sure that they're operational and good running order. As well as we have a 5th one coming on site with our new fleet location, where we'll be combining 2 of our locations into 1. Because currently we have 4 locations. 1 is just my office that's separate from our maintenance, and then we have 3 maintenance shops.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you just gave me the rundown of fleet business operations. Whenever I hear fleet, I think of like wrenching, like you're fixing stuff. But you're the business operations side.
Yes. So pretty much everything that has to do with anything fleet related other than the maintenance side. We have a maintenance operations manager, and he does a fantastic job managing those 3 shops, and roughly around 40 technicians come and go.
Wow. Okay. 200 assets replaced a year. That's a lot of paperwork being pushed.
Yes.
In my experience, I used to sell Vector trucks and street sweepers and stuff like that. And it's a lot of work to go into one proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of see the work that goes into it from the agency side of buying said piece of equipment. 200 a year, that's a lot of work. So I commend you for that.
A ton of paperwork, and that's what a lot of we'll get to that, but I think a lot of people are misconception of what that looks like.
Yeah. Give us the backstory, how Erinn got into the position. You weren't a mushroom. You didn't pop up yesterday as a fleet business operations manager. Give us your career path from high school all the way up until today.
Yeah, so I was kind of like the black sheep of the family. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Most of my family members either they're already career path driven, already knew what they wanted to do right out of high school. My oldest sister's a nurse. My 2 brothers run the family company in excavating, and then my other sister's a stay-at-home mom. So very important job, and I applaud her for that. I feel like that's probably the most important job, but
a lot of people sleep on that for sure.
Yeah, so I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do for the longest time. I was a bartender. I worked for a CPA's office. I was a little of everything, dipping my toes into it, and then I got a job with Sarasota County, and it's literally, I think, the most odd job that no one really knows about. Our phone system, if you call Sarasota County, is still answered by live people. You will not get an automated answering machine.
Really?
So
Good
that
for
was my
you
first job
guys.
within
Yeah.
Sarasota County. And through there, I learned a lot about every aspect of the county, every department. I honestly had no idea we even had a fleet department. Obviously, I knew we had a lot of vehicles, but I didn't even think about how they were managed or maintained or kept on the road. About a year into that, I looked about changing departments and kind of looked to see what was in the county. At that point, there was a fleet admin position available and it was a higher promotion. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for it. Went in for the interview, got the job offer. I took it right away. And that's when I started learning really about fleet management. I started from the very, very bottom. In that position, I really just managed the purchase orders for the maintenance, reviewed the budgets, very minimal things, made sure that our shop technicians had the uniforms and such, managed those rental contracts and stuff, and paid a lot of invoices. So from there, we had a little bit of a management change. So I kind of looked throughout the county again to see what was available. I got offered a promotion within the Office of Financial Management, which was a huge undertaking for me because it was back in something I didn't really understand or know about again. So we did accounts receivable for utilities, and then I did some insurance work and whatnot for claims and such for our fire department. So I was doing that kind of stuff. So had no idea even the county did that. So every time I fell into a role, I think with the county, it was kind of like, oh, surprise, we do this too. But it really helped me understand the whole thing of the county, which really I benefited from. At that time, about a year and a half passed by, and I was ready to move again or find what my next step was. At that time, though, I really loved Fleet. Like I really wanted to go back to Fleet. I felt like that was my home. I picked it up really quickly and I loved it. So thankfully, there was a position opened and the Fleet Acquisition Supervisor. So what that looked like, and I was really hesitant because I never truly like supervised per se in this kind of standing in government. So I stepped into that role and I started ordering things, started learning a lot about the contracts. I'm thankful that I had a lot of that procurement background from the Office of Financial Management, as well as that admin position within the fleet already. So I used a lot of my grounds from that. And I just slowly worked at it. You know, I talked to upper management, is there any way I can move forward and move up? Because I love what I do. I just want to take on more. I want the next step, right? So basically what they did is reorganized the department, and it was really beneficial for me. Our maintenance manager had a lot more under his belt, and it was just very tedious work because maintaining to run those shops is just day in and day out, extremely busy, dealing with parts, people, just everything around that. So basically what they did is kind of removed a couple of things from him, which freed him up to actually do more of the maintenance, make sure those shops are running appropriately. And then they gave me those extras of the fuel, the budget, and the contract side of that. So I got a lot more things added to me. I got a few more personnel, and I'm still learning a lot, but I'm enjoying it immensely. So I've been super thankful for this opportunity.
I kind of want to go back a little bit because I feel like we've all been in that point in life. Like we had some jobs. I'm not saying they're meaningless, but like they're not really a career. They're just kind of, like you said, bartender. I've had positions where I'm like, what am I doing? Like I can't do this for the next 2 years, let alone 2 months. Like what am I doing? What was that switch? You don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want, but what was that mental switch of like, hey, I need to start taking my, I guess, career or money serious. And then how did you stumble upon the public sector for that? Because a lot of people, like, again, they find a career doing something, but you found the public sector.
Yeah. So I had a few friends that worked in government, and growing up, we always heard that government, was really good pay. The benefits were amazing. It was, you had a secure job. You don't have to worry about it, as well as you could work your way up. So that was really, appealing to me. Like I wanted to work my way up. I didn't have a degree. I still don't have a degree. I'm going back to school for my bachelor's. But they gave me that opportunity, right? So it's been a place where I can literally grow holistically and with with my pace, not at the pace of a big corporation or needing all these things before I get into the position. So I've been super thankful for that. And at that point is really when I got into the fleet department, I realized there was a career path in that. And I didn't really see that necessarily in a lot of the departments. You know, they had their management and roles and stuff, but in fleet, you can really learn about every aspect of the fleet and how to manage it and run and make it run and work your way up eventually. And as well as looking at other municipalities out there and their jobs and what they offered.
Sure. I appreciate you
So,
answering that, because a lot of people, again, fall into public works or the public sector. Like, I always like to know how people fell into it. You said your family business, like your brother and sister, your brothers, they might run the family business. What are some of the questions they're asking you, because you're the big bad?
Funny thing is I have two older brothers, and they run the excavating company that my dad started down in Florida probably about 40 years ago. It's really that has given me a leg up, because I grew up with the excavating. So I was growing up around the machinery, the dump trucks. So I kind of understood the lingo. So it's really, that was really nice and helpful. We split kind of, and I was able to go upon my path, and my brothers still call me. It's funny because Andrew, my one brother, is very technical. So learning about like different things of the fleet. We have a very diverse fleet, like I said, and learning about some of the things. I don't know everything. Like, I'm going to have to lean on somebody, and I trust him immensely. And I trust a lot of my sales as well, my vendors. But it's really nice where I can just go to my brother and ask him questions of like, hey, what are all the different kinds of these pumps? Like a center, like all these different ones. I'm like, what does it mean? What is their usages? Like, I'm looking it up on the internet. What more can this is what I'm needing to purchase it for. Kind of help me along with this. Yeah. And then in turn, he's like, hey, do you have a point of contact for this person or, that company? So it's like,
where you get your rubber hose from?
Yeah, it's actually really helpful and beneficial. So I'm super thankful for that.
Sure. I appreciate you answering that. The fleet, you talked about like kind of fleet. It's not necessarily operations. It's not necessarily maintenance either, where you're like maintaining a street or cleaning sewer pipe. It's equipment. Like you talked about having to buy mowers. Like, what's kind of the quick and dirty for Erinn when somebody says, hey, we need to buy 7 mowers? Like, what do you do?
Right off the bat. Okay. So what's the application they're using them for? Because we do have parks. We're not going to use the same mower that we use on parks out in the public works sector out on the roads, because they are going to get beat to death, jumping curbs and such. So a lot of that is going back and asking the departments, what is it used for? And then I'm going to go, the second phase of that is our contracts, because our procure department is very, very strict. And I understand, because we have audits. So what we have to do is go to see what kind of cooperatives we have to purchase off of. All of our contracts have to go to the Board of County Commissioners to be approved to utilize. So that's a whole nother phase of everything. So I look at the contracts. I look what vendors we have available on those contracts. Then I look up the within those brands and contractors. I look up to see what they have available on those contracts and what's going to be best used for what we are needing. And then we kind of go from there and seeing the lead times and cost and so much and so forth that goes into it. And then we make a decision and hopefully cut the purchase order.
Yeah. Again, in my experience selling trucks to cities, sometimes there's a little bit of, I wouldn't say bad blood, between the fleet side and the using end.
Oh, no, that's
it always, you're nodding your head. Okay. So give us the kind of what that's about. And then also like in regards to some of the equipment that because a street sweeper operator will say, oh, they always buy this sweeper that has the wrong chair in it, doesn't have my cup holders and this and that and that and this. And like, what's, I guess, that energy about? And then also kind of how does Erinn, massage those relationships to make it beneficial for all parties?
Right. So what I've noticed a lot when I first came in is I directly worked with the managers of that department, or the manager twos, the higher ups, because they are the ones in the end that are going to approve our specifications for the equipment and the replacements and ordering it. So I have to go for them and be like, is this what you're happy with? Can we move forward? What I learned, though, there's sometimes breaks of communication within the departments. So the end user is not happy with what we purchased. And then it's funny because I build those, I I build that relationship with those users because they'll come in the office, they'll pick up the new equipment and whatnot. And I enjoy getting their feedback because my job is to assist them getting what they need. So what I've kind of done is work backwards, where I'll talk to the guys out in the field, kind of learn about what they're doing, go out on the job sites once in a while, see how they're utilizing the equipment, and then bring that back to the office and start doing some research, seeing what's best, how we can improve it. And then I'll bring it up to their upper management as, hey, we have this issue. There's a lot of downtime in this piece of equipment. These are the ways I can see we could improve, possibly purchasing a different kind of mower or vac truck, depending on what it is, and just going from there and just trying to kind of sell them and put them in that direction of like, hey, this is going to be the equipment that's going to fit your needs the best with the least amount of downtime. Because in the end, when it all comes back is downtime and productivity.
100%. I know this question might step on somebody's toes, but I think there will be a day where a person like yourself, who is on the procurement side, will be able to order a vac truck, street sweeper, backhoe, whatever, just online without a salesman. Are we getting close to that? Do you wish for something like that in the future? Do we need salesmen to come in and pitch you on the latest and greatest and this and that for you to make an intelligent decision on what your operators need?
Mm-hmm. So I personally still enjoy the demos. I like to see the piece of equipment. Typically, they'll allow us to utilize it and see what it actually is capable of, because there's a lot of talk. People can talk, but I want to see the performance. That's happened quite a few where, we were almost purchasing this piece of equipment. I'm like, but hey, I need this particular attachment because this is what they're going to be utilizing it for. They couldn't provide me with that attachment. I'm like, sorry. And that completely killed the deal. So I was really thankful that we were able to do that, as well as I want to see that piece of equipment, operating, and as well as the field techs. So I think in some instances for certain pieces of equipment, that would be nice, but it comes really down to, and I know AI is playing a lot of the field of this stuff. I still really always think that there's going to be a person, because it comes down to specifications. Not everything is going to fit exactly the way you're thinking it's going to, or on that chassis, you're not going to be able to fit these toolboxes, even though you could order it with this way. And, I've honestly used online tools for that kind of thing. So like if we need a Polaris Ranger in this department, Parks and Rec wants it outfitted with all these other things, it comes to a point where I can't get this because of that add-on, So that's been helpful to kind of streamline that. So then when I go to request the quote from the salesman, I already know what will and won't work. And then I can bring those questions to, like, hey, I noticed that I can't use, this, I don't know, hood rack with these lights. Do you have another solution or option? And then that's when it really helps and kind of streamline it.
Yeah. You open up the can of worms with AI there, so we got to go deeper into it. How is Erinn using ChatGPT to help her operate more efficiently on the job?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best memo writer or contracts writer or whatnot. A lot of that stuff, though, I will say it's kind of already done. We're not gonna rebuild the wheel for the contract writing and such like that. So we use a lot of the same verbiage and utilization of what we previously did. If we can improve them some way here and now, we do. There's been a major project that I've been working on, and I'm gonna have to bring it to our ACA and so forth here soon. And I literally ask it questions. So I'll ask AI, like, how do I need to basically tell a story into a page without losing the person in a 14-page memo. How do I do that? And it gives me examples of like how to do that and structure it and stuff like that. So that's really been beneficial to me.
Beautiful.
So that's just things like that, like where I'm getting a brain block or something where I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and try to be the person I'm not. I'm not great at this or that. But I know AI can help me and point me in the right direction, and I won't have to sit here and ask my counterpartners that I know are already busy doing their other projects for help. So I just use it as like a tool, as like a helping tool of a person possibly that somebody else is too busy. I'll ask it questions, and it's so quick and efficient. So that's the way I speed up my processes.
No, I respect that. Where you don't feel like you might be that competent at, you use ChatGPT as that crutch. I'm kind of the same way. Like even with some of the treatment plant stuff that I've done, I will take a 40-page spec, I will upload it in ChatGPT, and I say, hey, give me all the nitty gritty in regards to this keyword or in regards to this, because I'm not going to read this 40 pages. I don't have
Oh,
time.
exactly. It's so helpful with summarizing things. Same thing is we've been doing a project and we had all these project notes and I'm like, well, I need to bring this up to upper management. I don't have time to sit here and try to put it and summarize it. I'll just drop it in there and it summarizes it for me. I review it, make sure there's no grammatical errors or whatever. And I send it up. Same thing is just saving time. It's crazy what it can do. So for one instance, and I love using this example, and my role, my emergency role is I go into the emergency operations center during hurricanes and such. Our job as fleet is to fuel these sites because we have generators that go up and operating once we lose power. So we got a call or a request to fuel all of the generators at our fire stations. So we have a list of the fire stations, but they're not in any shape or form put in any kind of order of geographically of like north
like
to
a
south.
route, like go here first and there. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, so they asked me like, hey, can you put these in, north to south, so that we know which ones we can hit first. I'm like, this is going to take me some time to look it up in the map and everything. I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me just drag and drop these and tell it to put them in, from north to south. And it did. And it was super helpful. So things like that. So instead of it taking me an hour to sit here and look back and forth to where all these fire stations are, I literally dropped it in there. And I had the email back to them in 5 minutes of their route. It was awesome.
And they think you're a superstar. All right.
Don't tell my secrets.
All right, let's talk the day in the life of Erinn. So you get in the office, let's say super early in the morning, and you leave the office later in the day. Give us from when you first start to the office to, till you leave, what you're doing throughout that day.
Yeah. So honestly, the first about 20, 25 minutes, I'll sit down with my team. I just sit and talk with them, shoot the crap with them and just see like how their day was, how their afternoon was, and just really talk to them just as friends. And then sit down at my desk, start opening emails, seeing what's, the most important versus not so important, and just work out through the emails. I'll spec out some orders. I honestly try to get my orders done within the first 3 months of the fiscal year. So these past few months have been insane, but it really benefits me because now I have some time during budget season to actually just pay attention to budget and then so forth and so on. But so I really manage it based on the importance of the day and what is coming down the line, deadlines and so forth. And then I just project. I know, say to build my budget that's coming up, I have to start looking at what is close to being disposed or being able to be replaced, which we run our criteria in our fleet for 3 things: our hours and miles, our utilization, which is, the maintenance and such like that, of like how much it's cost us to maintain it, as well as the age of it. So I start looking at these things and we have to run reports day in and day out. I get calls back and forth from the shops or they saying, hey, this truck is like on its last leg where it's at for replacement. And there'll be some like very odd things where there's a truck that comes in that's only got like 48,000 miles and like the engine's failing. I'm like, hold up, what is going on with this? This is not okay. So then it comes to find out, it's sitting there idle. It's been idling a lot. So I'm like, okay, that's why the engine has a ton of hours on it. So I'm like, well, technically they've only paid this much into the truck. They're going to be short if we replace it now. I said, fiscally, let's put a new engine in the truck, extend the life cycle of it. So then we'll just collect those payments a little bit longer. And then, unfortunately, it's a lot of money into it, but we can extend the life of it a little bit longer.
Is all this happening in your head? Is there like software you're plugging this into? Is this like you throwing it up in the wind? Like
people have kind of like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just critical thinking. It's just how I do it. It's like how I'm wired. But no, I just, there's a lot of stuff that I learned. And I will say that, going to the conferences, NAFA, APWA, AEMP, going to those conferences and doing those class breakouts and those sessions has truly benefited me, and just continue to learn, read the magazines, seeing what's best practice. And it really just helps me be a critical thinker of like, okay, I like to look at it almost as like process of elimination. Okay, if we can do it, if we can't do it this way. So I start looking at it, all these things that it's going to affect. what's the best route and option for this instance.
Wow, that's rocket science for sure.
Just a lot going on up there. So people think I'm a little crazy now and then. I'll just spout out random things here and then. My employees will be like, what did she do? I'm like, sorry, I just thought something random. Even at night, like I'll be just thinking at night, I'm like, oh, hey, we can do this for this mower. And it's just super random. I
At night,
won't ever shut off.
All right, let's say it's Friday. You're at end of the workday Friday. It's going to be a 3-day weekend. You got the Monday off. What's kind of the final things you do to make sure that you start off that next week on the right foot? Like, are you put sticky notes on your computer? Are you, cleaning out your email inbox? Like, what are some of the Erinn's productivity hacks to make sure that next week is on the go?
So I'm a big flagger in my email box. So I'll flag things I have to go back to. I'm a note taker. So I have a to-do list literally, and I'll prioritize it from most important to least. So between my notes, cleaning out that email box, unfortunately, I do carry around my work phone consistently. It's rough, but I'll get emails, and a lot of it is just junk emails. So what helps me is just consistently, like, just checking the email once in a while, cleaning it out so that when I come back Monday, I'm not bombarded with 300 unread emails and just junk, where I can start my day, my box is clean. I go back to what I needed to get done, and then I just work up on Monday and be like, okay, well, a big thing too with me is getting back to people within the same day. And I've been really struggling with that recently.
Good for you.
But I'm really just trying to, like, okay, I need to prioritize what's important, and getting that. I just went to a AAMP's conference, and they talked about prioritizing and leaving work at work, coming home, and just being present. And I suck at it. I'm not going to lie. So I'm really just trying to be present and focus and try to stay off social media. And I feel like I've been downfalling. I feel bad because, like, my LinkedIn, I'm like, that's my living resume, but I'm like really crappy right now about keeping it updated and what I'm doing. It's not like I'm not doing anything. I'm just really just trying to stay off my phone. So that's all kinds of things, but just really trying to stay organized and prioritized.
Sure. Let's say you had to give us the main skill set that helps you be successful at what you currently do. What would that skill set be?
I definitely think it's self-starter. This job if no one's going to sit here and spoon feed you this position, you really have to think, okay, what's next? I came into this position, and as I said, I was a fleet acquisition supervisor first, and I went into it and there was no SOPs, there was nothing. So I love, thankfully, digging up historical stuff. So what I did is just go back into our share files and our database and just looked up historical things of, like, okay, what is the process of this? And I'll ask around to the other departments that we do business with. And, like, okay, so our fixed asset management team, I'm like, okay, I'm needing to replace all these assets. I understand. I see this documentation of a disposal report. What exactly am I needing to do? So, like, oh yeah, you have to do that before you can even start replacing assets, because if they're not approved, you can't get rid of them. So I'm like, okay. So it's really helped me build processes in my position to see, like, the process of what they need to go in and order. So for me to start ordering my replacements or even building my budget for fiscal year 27 is I'll start running those reports, like I mentioned before, about what's due for replacement based off those criterias. And then I'll say, okay, what does those cost? What is it looking like? What have I most recently purchased that is similar to that? So I can start building that budget with those replacements and what's due for replacement. That is what is going to be my disposal packet. And then as well as my budget for the following year. So it goes hand in hand with all of that. So like I said, like self-sufficient, self-starter, you really have to just be motivated to do it, or if you're going to get behind.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, it's story time. I need a story from Erinn when something went wrong under your watch, what you did to fix it, and then what lessons you learned from it to apply to your future career. And before you give your answer, I asked this question because I just want to talk adversity. Most people go through issues they created within their job, and I just want them to know that if Erinn survived it, they too can survive it.
Oh, yeah. So our fleet is a very outward looking fleet.
Explain.
So basically we manage and own our fleet, but we're not the end user. Our customers are, which is the other departments.
Sure.
So we're kind of like no one really knows about fleet. They know they get their new vehicles from us, but they have no idea anything else about that. But we build the departments and everything else. So what we do is we are fully funded replacement. So basically we start our replacements. We purchase a new asset. The department pays us up front for that asset. And I'll calculate based on what those vehicles are. I'm going to be assuming in 8 years to replace and how much they're going to cost. So what's happened with COVID and everything else is I was so amped up about, getting these vehicles during COVID. I didn't think about the price increases during that time. So our interest that we I should say our markup that we built in to our rates was not keeping up with what they were costing us. So unfortunately, we were having to, at the end of the life cycle, sweep the departments for the remaining funds.
Wow.
They really don't like that, especially when it's not planned in their budget season.
Yep.
So with that, we've looked at different ways of how to do it and project it out. And we've pretty much corrected that. And that's the one thing I will say is use every negative as a positive of how to improve your processes. And so with that, we've done this live dashboard of assets that we were planning to replace, and it shows what they paid in so far, where we need to adjust them, the increases. So it's very transparent with the departments because they're my customer. They should know anything and everything about their assets. So that's one of the improvements and one of the things that was a big on our end, but we were able to right the ship and correct the errors. And I'm really thankful for my team that helped us with that.
For sure. The COVID, I mean, I was on the private side selling to cities during COVID, and I remember the lead times just got crazy. And I'm sure you remember that. Like, one year you're talking to a sales, I'll be here in about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Next year you talk to them, it's gonna be like 2 years, and you're like, what? I had budgeted 6 months for this. How did some of those situations go?
Yeah, so I kind of took that role, acquisition supervisor, during COVID a little bit. We were just phasing out, and so I was new to the lead times of how long things typically came in. So when I came in, they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be 2 years." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's ridiculously long." I said, "But I don't have anything to compare it to other than all my customers are complaining to me about how long this is taking." But I'm like, literally, if you're reading the news and if you're around it, you there was nothing we could do. So that's when I really started connecting with my customers and just talking to them every day, making things more available to them, making lead times more available. My team, and I'm very thankful, I have a great team. We put in place where we update the ETAs. So we reach out to our vendors of outstanding orders quarterly. And we have a dashboard where our customers can see their current orders and the ETAs of those. So those ETAs will update quarterly so that they can see what the lead times are and if they're improving or falling back behind, just so that we get a lot of emails back and forth. And that's a lot of the busy work. I don't have sitting time and I don't want to put it on my girls' plate. So I'm like, let's just put this process in place to kind of improve this. So now when people are asking me about orders and the vendors are coming back, I'm like, "Oh yeah, 6 months." And I'm like, "This is amazing. Thank you." And then some of the vendors still are about a year out. And I'm like, "No sweat. What good is it for me to get upset with you? You can't control that. That's silly." So, and that's a lot of the time is when the customers, they'll get a little bit upset about the lead times. And I'm like, I don't stress it. I don't make my vendors stress it. That's just ridiculous to me. I know they're hard at work. Hello, they're not getting paid until I accept their unit. So I'm like, they're out money too. Money's a big motivator. So that kind of things. Yeah. The lead times were ridiculous, but we're all doing our best.
Yeah. So you've never ordered a fire truck that was white or the wrong color. You never ordered go ahead.
Thankfully, not a fire truck. No, but I had ordered a Tahoe that was supposed to come in race red, I think it was. It was an expedition that was supposed to come in race red, and it was purple. And I looked at my order form and I'm like, the quote says this. I'm like, what happened? And it was just a fluke thing that I guess the color, I don't know, they got it wrong. And I'm like, well, we have options. So I took it to one of our body reps. I'm like, how much is it going to cost to paint it? How much is it going to cost to wrap it? And then in the end, we decided just to send it back and wait. We held another piece of equipment back for them to utilize during that time. And we just waited until the new one came in.
Boom.
because it just wasn't cost efficient to paint it or to get it wrapped.
Who wants a purple expedition?
It was nice inside. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe for undercover, I mean, that would have been sharp, but not for us.
For sure, for sure. All right, how does Erinn intentionally, actionably get better every year? I
Mhm.
mean, again, fleets is one of those places where you're, I hate to say it, like you're reactionary. Something breaks, we got to order something to fix it. Oh, this is ready to be turned over, we got to replace it. What do you do to stay ahead of it? What do you do to stay efficient? Like conferences, books, seminars, ChatGPT. Like, what are you doing to go and find that new information?
Definitely. I would say continuous education, no matter what it is. NAF has been a huge help, and I have my CAFM. That's been a great tool to use. Just even the people that you build relationships within these communities are like APWA, AEMP, and you can literally just ask them like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. It's new to me. Is it like, have you dealt with this already? And so just communicating and building those relationships have really been beneficial for me to learn through and for, because thankfully a lot of us deal with the same things. Like I said and mentioned earlier, I'm going to go back to school to get my bachelor's. I'm really not a fan of degrees. Like I want to prove to you I can do the work. I don't see sitting in a room or sitting in a class to get a degree. I'm not bashing anybody that has it. Good for you. Like that's a lot of will and hard work to get it. It irks me. Like I want to show you I can do the job. Like teach me and I can do it. But I am going back to school.
Does your county not favor, but will they give you a bump in pay? Gotcha. And that's usually the incentive behind
it. The incentive is basically they'll give us tuition reimbursement, which to me, I'm like, that's huge. You're going to pay for me to get this degree, which you can't take from me. So that's a huge thing. Is I look at any kind of certifications that I can get that the county will honestly reimburse us or pay for if it's within our line of work. And I think that's amazing. And I tell anybody that comes into government, I'm like, use them as a stepping stone. Even if you don't stay within them, just, I don't want to say like use them, but use them to your benefit. You are giving them your service of working here, improve on it. And at the time, if it comes down the road that it's time for you to go a separate way, then do it. But like mine, it's really benefited me as well as them, as working my way up and getting these certifications, as well as going to go back to school, and I'll just be able to move up even more so if my future is to stay here. Reading, I really enjoy reading. It has been difficult to find time, but like I said, I'm really going to try to separate work and home life and find time for that. The new book I picked up is Leading Up by Michael Huseman. So I've had a hard time with kind of just learning, like I can only do so much, right? But how do I present things to upper management, or how do I do that? So just these kinds of books to help me learn these different management styles.
Sure. It's 2 a.m. Erinn's looking at the ceiling. You can't go to sleep, and it's regarding work. What's usually keeping you up at night?
Things that I forget to do. Even though I'm a huge note taker, there's just things that I'm like, oh, I could do this, or oh, I forgot to do that. It's just random little tidbits that make the wheel spin, that I'm like, oh, I need to do that, or I forgot to send that email back. Just little things, but it turns into big things. So that's where I just need to get better, as well as continuously doing it. It's just notes. And I have a notepad. Literally, I was just looking at it the other day. It's just like a 5-star binder. And I write on one page my notes. When I get done with them, flip the next page, keep going. I've had this almost my 4 years of working in where I've been at my office here. And I just look back and I'm like, wow, this is like from previous management when I was used to be taking notes for our fleet meetings. I'm like, this is insane, the history that goes back into these. So I'm finally almost done with the whole notepad. And I was just shocked at thinking like how much stuff is in there that I've learned and was able to process and move forward through. So just taking those notes really just help. Just, okay, things I just need to do, just jot it down. I just can go back to it.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about what you do? Let's say you're on vacation, you meet some random person on the elevator and they ask you, so Erinn, what do you do? and you say, I'm the fleet business operations manager at Sarasota County Government in Sarasota, Florida. What do you think they think? Like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about what you do?
So I think like once you're in the roles, you kind of start making things look easier. I think once you learn it, it's kind of just water off a duck's back, or you don't just, when major things happen, it's really not that major. You can get through it. With that, I'll say just the processes of how to order equipment. Like you said, like you sold vac trucks before and you know how much goes into those quotations. On my end, it's taking that contract that we want to utilize to purchase off of, going to the board or getting it approved through the board, the numbers, the justifications of why we need to use that contract, what benefits will be to the county for that. Then coming back and then working with the vendors and requesting those quotes and working with the end users, our customers, to say, hey, what exactly you're needing on this truck. And some of the things that I always have to go back to, I'm like, the truck, I will build it as much as you need and add all these things, but in the end, the truck cannot do your job. You have to do something. So there's some things I'm like, okay, what's realistically that we need? Because some of these things I know is going to be a maintenance nightmare. So it's really like all these counterparts where I don't think people are like, oh, you can just order a new piece of equipment. Like, no, there's a lot that goes into it. I have to get this equipment approved, by the Board of County Commissioners to dispose of it. So it's a whole lengthy process that a lot of people don't see. And like, wow, you got it ordered in 6 months. I'm like, yeah, but it took me a year of work to get us to where I know we're going to be. So it's a lot of projecting and, purchasing and all that stuff that a lot of people don't see. They think that we can just go, unfortunately, I can't just go off the lot and buy something. And then that's the other thing, is they're always surprised that, oh, well, I saw this vendor have this truck already built on their lot. And I'm like, yeah. And typically those are already priced for public or private sector. I'm like, they will not sell that at contract price to us because they're going to be losing money. And I said, it doesn't work like that. So they're always shocked at that. We're like, well, can't they just buy it off the lot? I'm like, it doesn't unfortunately work that way.
Gotcha. I like the way you call your customers, meaning the people who work for Sarasota County, the different departments, they're your customers. So the next question is, if you're commissioned to put up a billboard, and like, let's say this billboard is at your fleet. Sorry, little glitch there. I'll restart it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area of your fleet operations, whether at the yards, the corporate yards, the fleet bays, wherever, and all your customers saw this billboard. What ask of your customers would you want to put on this billboard in regards to fleets?
They're probably not going to like this. My billboard would say, if you see a vehicle idling, turn it off.
Really? Okay.
They probably hate me because I've been that person, and I'm like, I don't want to be drive as a mean person or whatever, but I'm like, if we're doing a demo and someone pulls up and they get out of the vehicle to watch the demo and they're sitting and letting their county vehicle idle, I will go over there and turn it off.
No way.
Unfortunately, I am that person. And it's nothing towards them. It's just longevity. I know that is going to play a part in this asset's life cycle, and it could lead to engine down. It could be downtime. It could be engine failure. There's a lot of components of this. And I do not need to replace that vehicle early. I need that vehicle to live as long as it can. And part of that is turning it off when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of departments my customers would not be too happy about that.
I know.
True. And I know living in Florida, like I understand it's really hot.
Too.
But
that's me in Arizona. Like I feel bad sometimes. I'll leave my personal car on in the parking lot, go in the store, get what I need to get, and come back out, just so it's cool. Leave that thing idling the whole time. So what's the longest piece of equipment that you've held on to, and then kind of some of the things around why you're proud of keeping something that long?
I don't think there is really.
Okay.
I'll have to think about this one. This is an interesting question. Something I've held on to a long time. We have some service trucks, I would say, that we've held on to just within our fleet. Some service trucks, and it's just because they're within our fleet and we can maintain them a little bit more intensely, and just got longer use of it. But the way we run our fleet is we try to replace them based upon, the the structure of when that asset's losing its life cost value of it, we try to get it replaced before then, because that funding does come back to us within when we send it to auction. It comes back and it goes into our revenue, our piggy bank. So it doesn't go back to the general fund. So we pride ourselves of how
that's cool.
Young our fleet is.
Yeah, because you can sell something at a higher price, get that back, which helps you with other costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it also is strategy of how to run a fleet and stuff. You don't want to have a super old piece of equipment, and it is different, I will say, and private versus public. I go to a lot of these conferences, and there's some private companies there, and if that machine is still making money and it's low maintenance costs, then yeah, they're going to run it. To me, it's not as appealing. To them 100%, because they're making their money back in fistfuls at that point because the vehicle is paid off and they're just continuously running it, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, for like the public sector, we don't look at it that way.
I guess you are right. The ones that I've met that are proud about, oh, we got this 92 Dodge Ram pickup and it's 400,000 miles on it. And they're like, yeah.
But let's look at the maintenance costs. Let's see how much money they actually have paid. Is it actually beneficial or not?
Understood.
It all comes back to data.
Understood. All right. I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey. And then I want you to give a word of motivation and inspiration to your fellow fleet operations manager counterparts across the country.
Okay. So mentors, I would like my mom and dad. They've been great. They've ran their own company. I've been able to see firsthand what hard work looks like and the dedication and things like that. So thanks to them for instilling that in me. I would say my first director that I ever worked under within Fleet is Jeff Loudermilk. He gave me my first opportunity. He actually signed a waiver for me because I didn't meet some of the criteria to be a supervisor in Fleet at the time. So he took a chance on me, and I would hope that looks like it paid off, as well as my current fleet manager, Justin Mullins, and my general services director, Dan Rodriguez. They have been super just instilling trust in me and allowing me to kind of build the department the way I would like, as well as not being super overreaching and just kind of helping me guide me within the questions I might have here and there. So I've been super thankful for them. Brenda Pichelle in Lake County has been awesome. She is a great person, and she's been around a long time in Fleet. She's great for just random questions. I can always call her or email her, and she's always able to answer my questions that I have, and very helpful.
Sure. And what do you say to those fleet operations managers? They're in the trenches. They're fighting the same battles you're fighting. They're hopping in trucks and turning them off when they're idling. What do you say to them to keep them motivated, keep them inspired?
This too will pass. There's always the next thing. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Just stick it out and ask for help. There's always people out there that's willing to help, willing to answer questions, willing to just lend a helping hand. I would say in the fleet community, it's been the very most welcoming community, where they'll offer their expertise at any point, no matter what. Hey, I'm looking to this, or if you're running the same software, how are you managing this, or how do you work that? And sometimes it really helps in your benefit of like, oh, I didn't think about that. And they'll send you a report. I'm like, hey, this is how you do it. And so it's really awesome that way.
Gotcha. All right, let's say I'm coming to town. I'm coming to Sarasota, Florida, and I text you ahead of time. I say, Erinn, where can I go to get the best burger in Sarasota? Where are you going to send me?
Okay, burgers. So this is probably going to be kind of odd. So there's this place in Saks Fifth Avenue. It's called Sophie's, and I will say they have the best burger I've ever had out and about. I personally enjoy a homemade burger, but I was shocked. It's so good. It was so good. It was so good. There's no words to put into all the ingredients. I don't know what's in it, but I could eat like 2 of those things. It's so good. Yep.
Well, you said
Sophie's.
Saks Fifth Avenue. Isn't that a store?
Yeah. So Sophie's is actually upstairs, and they have a restaurant there inside the store, kind of separate.
Okay.
And they have a little balcony area. It's really cute.
I like that. All right, Erinn, thanks for hopping on the show today. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with us. To all the listeners out there, make sure that you think needs to hear it. Erinn, any final words before we get out of here?
No, I just appreciate your time and letting me come on the show. And then, any fleet managers out there, just keep plugging away at it.
Sure. All right. Well, this has been the Public Works Podcast, and thank you everybody for tuning in.